This is Monkey World, the largest ape and monkey rescue centre on the planet. With every animal comes a story. Some funny, some shocking. Dramas great and small. Today on Monkey Life, one of the park's most lovable characters, Chimpanzee Charlie, undergoes emergency dental surgery.
If we do nothing, then Charlie could become seriously ill.
And will orangutan Roro reject her second baby? Monkey World cares for over 160 primates. With this many apes and monkeys, the 24-strong team of care staff have to deal with a variety of medical situations, from treating common colds and giving eye drops to assisting operations and supporting primates through labour. Femke is the park's full-time vet, but helping her at crucial times are veterinary surgeons John Lewis, Mike Nathan, and dentist Peter Cortez. Yesterday, 18-year-old orangutan Roro gave birth to her second daughter. They bonded and everyone was positive she would care for the new arrival. But this morning it's not good news. The baby has had to be removed.
So what happened? What was her deal, though? 'Cause she was nicer this time, wasn't she? She was holding the baby.
Yeah, by the time I get there, she'd cleaned the baby up, and she was just fussing over her, really, and she never fed her baby, but I did try to steer baby towards, the feeding department, but it just wasn't, it wasn't happening that evening.
At first, Jeremy was confident that Roro was coping.
See? She's cleaned him up, her up, and she's looking good so far. I mean, it's less than an hour old, but you're going to do this one proper, aren't you, sweetheart?
But after 24 hours, the baby still hadn't fed, so the park called wildlife vet John Lewis.
During the morning time, the baby was pretty well on the nipple, but it was minimal. There wasn't enough time or anything to actually get a feed.
And when John examined the baby...
And he realised then that it was, its baby's still strong and everything, but the baby was dehydrated, was becoming weak. So, in fact, I think I am happy, if it happened again, I would be happy to go with that schedule again, because it gives Mum every chance. It gives Mum every chance to be with baby.
But how's it been with her? How's she been doing feeding?
We've had a few ups and downs, like you do with most babies, bit of wind problems, bit of burping. She's drinking well. She's going through a period where she sort of seems to overdo it, I think, and then sort of pulls back a little bit. So we've just sort of established that she's to have a certain amount at every 2-hour feed now, rather than let her do on demand.
Just like humans, primates have family resemblances, and this little girl is similar to her sister.
Looks a bit like Xiaoning as well, actually.
I was going to say, spitting image, actually, of appearance-wise.
And Roro, all of them had these sort of long sideburns here, which this one's got, and Xiaoning also had a wicked hairstyle, which on top of the head, which grew straight up like a coconut. It looks like this one may be developing in the same manner. But yeah, at the moment, all it is doing is sleeping, eating, so that's really good.
There is one orangutan who's been successfully reared by his mum. 2-year-old Kai. He's becoming an independent little orang. In Chinese, Kai means triumphant, and his name suits him. Every day, the boisterous youngster gets more confident. But he still needs to practice his moves. His mum, Xiao Kuai, stays close to him, just in case he gets into trouble. Kai has been accepted by his whole group and he's clearly comfortable with them. In the wild, orangutans have the longest childhood of the great apes and will nurse until they're approximately 7 years old. At the park, the primates are fed regularly so Kai never goes hungry. Xiao Kuai is still breastfeeding her son, but now it's on her terms. Kai is growing up fast and developing a strong personality. Single-minded and determined, nothing stands in his way. Another male who's growing up fast is 10-year-old Gordon. He was the park's first orangutan baby. His mum rejected him, so he had to be hand-reared. Gordon's physical appearance has changed dramatically. Now a sub-adult, he's starting to show slight cheek flanges, develop a throat pouch and grow a perfect pointy beard. Apparently females find these very attractive. Gordon will reach adulthood at around 15, and although he's maturing fast, his appearance will continue to change. One day he will look like 22-year-old Tuan. As for 2-year-old Kai, he's got it all to come. Back in the office, the team are happy that Roro's baby is healthy. They now have to decide whether the baby should go back with Mum Roro or be given to Xiao Kuai.
I'm worried that if we try Roro,
She'll just lose condition.
that we're going to have a situation where this baby starts going downhill.
That's right.
We then have to rescue her again and try to bring her back, and it's making me a little bit nervous. Because Roro's biggest problem has been, she hasn't been a natural mom. And with Xiaoning, it was almost impossible. Picking the baby up, just put it down, swaddled it up very nicely, wrapped the baby up, put it down, and thought it was comfortable. This time was a little better,
Yeah,
but
not enough.
she just didn't get that baby on the nipple. She was that little bit better, but not good enough. With Roro, we're gonna have to go with third time lucky, not second.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Xiao Kuai's got enough milk to, I think, feed an army. She's just enormous. Her boobs.
Yes, I know, she's not lacking in quantity.
Orangutan moms who like babies just like having babies,
Yeah.
and they don't really care. And so, odds are that Xiao Kuai is gonna love this baby to bits.
Tomorrow, the baby's new life with foster mum Xiao Kuai begins. One of the most lovable characters at the park is 22-year-old chimpanzee Charlie. For 5 years, he was a Spanish beach photographer's prop. He was abused so badly that when he arrived at the park, he was a drug addict with cataracts, fractured feet, and a broken jaw. Charlie's been at the park for 17 years. Despite physical and mental scars, he now lives happily with the bachelor chimp group. Charlie has a healthy appetite, but eating is a challenge because abuse and neglect have left him with only 5 teeth. Like humans, an adult chimpanzee's mouth usually has up to 32 teeth. Charlie compensates by chewing with his gums. The keepers have noticed that Charlie's last remaining upper canine tooth is broken.
Put it in at the base there.
Wildlife vet John Lewis has anaesthetized him so that dentist Peter Cortez can take a closer look.
And we got to look at a couple of possibilities. One of them is that we rebuild the tooth and give him as much as possible to work with. And the other is, depending on what Peter sees, if he thinks it's not worth saving, the fact is that that's it. Charlie loses that canine as well, and that leaves him with nothing up top.
That's better.
There was no option. Had to sedate him. Have to look at the tooth. If we do nothing, then Charlie could become seriously ill, and it could become very painful. Charlie and I go back a long way, and he is a bit special, and he's really special to everybody in this park. He just simply is the kindest, most loving chimp, and he just wants to enjoy life and get on with everybody. He's a bit of an icon in this park. He represents everything that's the worst that people do to chimps and to other great apes. But what he also represents is, if you like, that kindness that he's got just in him, that he didn't turn mean. He could have turned awful and bitter and mean and nasty, and it's just not him.
If he grates away at it, he's going to wear it down relatively rapidly and break the rest off, and it's going to be useless within a matter of a year or so. If you put a crown on it, yes, he may split it, but on the other hand, with enough protection, he may just hold things together.
If we give him a crown, he's got a shot. He's got a shot at keeping some of that tooth for as long as possible. If we don't give him anything, then it's likely that he's going to wear that tooth down, that he's what's left of it, break it, find himself in a bit of trouble. It's difficult. So in the end, his best shot is to go for the crown. We'll go for the crown.
Peter removes some of the root filling and is cutting Charlie's gum back to avoid any future infection. But he finds something more serious at the root of the tooth.
He's found that
A resorption cavity.
a resorption cavity, which means he's got a hole towards the bottom of the tooth.
Resorption cavities are very serious. The body's defense mechanism eats away at the tooth. For Charlie, it was probably a result of years of physical abuse. And they may not be able to save the tooth.
I think you have to look at the animal's welfare, and if we leave it, it's going to have infection there, and you can see that there is a defect. All right, he's got a little tooth there. There's no point leaving it with that sort of defect and infection, and in case he was going to suffer, so we have to take it out.
He is in pain. He certainly wasn't showing it, but that's Charlie. And this tooth's got to go. We've got to make sure there's no infection. We have to make sure that Charlie isn't having any pain. And now this decision's changed. The tooth's got to come out.
You can see the size of the cavity now, can't you?
Wow, it's enormous.
So all we have to do now, really, if Jonathan's got him deep enough. Okay. Yeah. You see the size of that cavity? All the way down to the tip of the root, it's totally destroyed.
Although the tooth has been successfully removed, Peter finds another problem, and it's much more serious.
The bone has been destroyed between the socket and the maxillary sinus.
But things go from bad to worse. The damage was so severe that it destroyed some of Charlie's facial bone and created a hole between his sinus and mouth.
It's a little scary now. Peter now has to try to make a flap to cover this enormous hole and attach it. There's every possibility that it'll break down. There's every possibility that it just won't be able to take it. That, the tissue won't be able to take it, and it will break down. At that point, then Charlie will have a permanent defect, which will cause him a lot of discomfort. He's gonna, he could end up with a severe chronic sinusitis and inflammation all the time his whole life, which we can treat. But it's a little bit sad, because if that happens, it's another burden he's gotta live with. We got to talk about how do we feed him for a while? How do we make sure that tissue doesn't break down? So we're all going to be talking about what's right for him, how we can give him his best shot, because if we can keep that hole covered up, he'll be a happy boy, and it's not life-threatening, but if it breaks down, it's a bit of a worry. Tiny job there, Peter.
Thank you very much. We do our best.
I looked at that hole and I thought this is going to be impossible. Impossible.
We can help nature, but we can't improve on nature. All we can do now is hope and wish him the best of luck in recovery.
While Charlie comes round from the anaesthetic, Jeremy will sit with him to make sure he doesn't play with his stitches.
Come on.
And for the next few days, it'll be porridge on the menu. One of Charlie's favourites. In the largest chimp group, alpha male Paddy has successfully reigned over his troop for more than 15 years. It means they're happy and relaxed. Having a good leader is vital. It's their job to make sure there is peace and harmony, and if it's lost, they must restore it by asserting their dominance. In the wild, male chimps do this with spectacular charging displays. They make themselves look as big and threatening as possible. At the park, the alpha males behave in exactly the same way. While Paddy is perfect in his role, reluctant leader Hananya isn't. He's been in charge of his group for 2 years and is still struggling to control them. Dominant female Cherry is picking on 9-year-old Cookie. And although Hananya is right next to Cookie, he doesn't get involved. Later, Simon joins in, and it turns into a full-blown squabble. But there is still no dominance display from Hananya. Being an alpha male is not easy, but to succeed, Hananya must be able to assert his authority. When Cherry and Simon have another squabble, Hananya is still reluctant to get involved. It could be that he's not brave enough to challenge a dominant female. He's also grown up with Simon, so finds it difficult to reprimand him. But to be in charge, he must overcome this reluctance. Eventually, Hananya does tell Simon off. It may be brief, but it's a massive step forward. And Simon definitely needs the discipline. He's a bit of a bully. Ever since Hananya's been in control, Simon has taken advantage of his weak leadership. But with this show of dominance, hopefully Hananya will become a more successful alpha male. Unfortunately, Hananya's weak leadership skills have had an effect on the newest member of the group. Boisterous Sheamus moved in several weeks ago. At 7, he'd outgrown the chimp nursery and the team thought he'd fit in better with Hananya's group. He was joined by his nursery pal, Tootie. She's settling in perfectly thanks to everything she learned about chimp behaviour from her foster mum, Sally. Sheamus has found it hard. As a male outsider, he's struggled to make friends.
Yeah, Sheamus is in this small bedroom in the back of Hananya's house, and we're just marrying the box up to the sliding door.
The park has decided that today, Sheamus will move back to the nursery group.
Ideally, he'll just go in.
He needed to go home to his mom. You know, Alison and I and Jeremy all talked about it, and he's not the brightest thing on the planet. In the world of chimps, he's down there pretty low. But he's a sweetheart. And our problem is that he just hasn't made any friends, has he?
Not a single friend yet, really. We're really worried that, like, he's already not made an enemy, but isn't friends with Peggy, isn't friends with Hananya, isn't friends with Shamok particularly, and the list keeps going on and on. So they're sort of allowing him to be in the house, but nobody's really taken up his cause, and without any allies, he's out there on his own, and if it kicks off, he'll be the target.
Usually when primates are moved between enclosures, they're given anaesthetic, but not today. Sheamus is so willing to leave, he steps straight into the box.
Oh, you're ready. He's ready to go home. That was spectacular. He just walked. He's not even bothered. He wants to go home. I'm sure of it. He's ready to go.
We're just going across. Might be better up on the tower.
All right. Yeah.
You ready?
And in the nursery, Sally's noticed the crate and is excited by the activity.
He's still ready to go home. I can't believe it. What do you want to do?
Just a bit further down, and then we can...
Right.
And then...
The rest of the nursery group have been kept inside. This gives Sheamus some time to familiarise himself with his old surroundings.
Bring your blanket.
Good boy, come on then. Sheamus, come on then.
But Sheamus is nervous.
Come on then. You're back. You're back.
He keeps his eyes firmly fixed on the door. But as soon as he sees Sally, it's as if they've never been apart.
I mean, him and Sal just went together like limpets, both with, you know, the big face and all of that. And what's also really nice is that after he first said to hello to Sally, he ran back into Ben and Pip, and at first you think, oh gosh, are we just gonna start straight away with the thugging again? Big, huge hug for both Ben and Pip, so I think he's really happy to be back.
Sally and Sheamus share a special bond, and it looks like she's not going to let him go again.
He's got some stories to tell, Sal. They got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, I know.
I think he'll be a very good boy for at least a day or two. And then as soon as he's comfortable, he'll be back to his old self. He plays too rough, and he was getting too tough with everybody. But he's so nice, he's so sweet, he's so well-meaning, you know, and he's so not very bright. But, you know, he loves to be back, and I think he'll be wonderful for a day or two, but then he is what he is. And he's going back to it.
Next time, Jim checks in with Charlie for some post-op TLC.
The worst that could happen is that he decides to go off on one and he wants to display, so I could get knocked around a bit.
And the team heads off to Eastern Europe on a monkey rescue mission for a stump-tailed macaque.